Let's go ahead and get started. Everybody, I know that you all know that I'm excited to bring, Mike Ferry to our office, to the company, and have a conversation. But before he and I get started, more him than myself, I just wanted to, introduce Mike. For those of you that maybe you have not heard Mike speak ever before, but you definitely heard of him beyond his own, platform of being a legendary coach is what I call him, and even pioneering, in my mind, pioneering real estate coaching to what it is, like this one-on-ones, type of format. But for Mike, I met Mike probably 20, maybe going on 22 years ago. And what was interesting, people have asked me, how did you find Mike? And here's the reality is I didn't find Mike. Mike had somebody making phone calls, and he convinced me and my dad to go to some Mike Ferry event in Columbia, South Carolina. Believe it or not, my first introduction to you, Mike, was Columbia, South Carolina. My dad and I, somehow my dad was like, I like Floyd Wickman. Mike's a little aggressive. That's my dad saying. And then I'm like, I'm going to Atlanta to see him again. And then I went to Atlanta, and then there I decided I was going to sign up for coaching. And I asked my dad, because I didn't have any money. I asked my dad, will you pay for it? And he hemmed on around and kind of acted as if he wasn't going to pay for it. And I said, screw it, I'm signing up anyways, and I'll figure it out. Needless to say, my dad agreed that we'd let the company pay for it. So that ended up working out. But ever since then, I have followed Mike to the T. And if you're in our office, you'll know that I've never shared a script that wasn't the Mike Ferry script. If somebody calls me from Virginia and says, what scripts do you use? I say, go to mikeferry.com and just download the scripts. They say, well, if that's the scripts you use? And I'm like, yeah, just go to mikeferry.com and just download the scripts. And even today, as we get a new agent into the business, you'll see that it's all Mike Ferry training, and everything in our company has been influenced. So I wrote down here, one thing that I can say that maybe I haven't said before is I think Mike is definitely the most influential person that's a non-parent of mine in my life. So beyond my mom and dad, I would say Mike has been the most influential person, probably from a personality standpoint, a personal standpoint, and definitely a business standpoint. So with that being said, Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Boy, I'll tell you what, with that kind of introduction, I'm going to start charging more. That's for sure. Thank you.
Yes.
It's funny. I remember that Atlanta event. Okay, it was the Marriott Hotel downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was a great event because I never shared this with you, Greg, and some of your agents will get a kick out of this. My son Matthew's wife, Diane, had never been out of the state of California in her life. And she was like 24. And I said, Diane, why don't you come to Atlanta with Matt and I? We're going to have a great group of people, and I'll let you handle the registration. Well, she had never been exposed to that beautiful Southern drawl, which is so prevalent in Atlanta. So she's sitting at the registration table, and a wonderful lady walks up, standing behind Diane, and the lady says, or Diane says, can I help you? And the lady looks at Diane's name badge that says Diane Ferry. And the lady says, how you kin to Mike? And Diane looks at her and said, I'm sorry. She goes, no, how you kin to Mike? So Diane looks at the registration list trying to find somebody named how you kin to Mike. Yeah. And I had to tap her on the shoulder and say, Diane, she's asking, how are you and I akin to each other? And Diane goes, Mike, I've never heard that language before. So I remember that event you attended. So, hey, here's the good news. 22 years later, we're still smiling and laughing.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Not much has changed. Things have changed, but, we're still doing the same things for sure.
And I have to tell you, for those agents that are not with you that are watching today, they're probably, maybe, out of 68,000 real estate offices in America today, maybe if we search, we could find one that does better per person productivity than yours. So hats off to you, and I've been saying that to you for 20 years. Congratulations. And
I don't want everyone to say, well, gosh, Greg kisses up to Mike a lot, but I'm 50 years old, and I'll still have no problem admitting that, you shaped myself as a business person. You
Thank you.
shaped my company by far. And the reality is through me, you're shaping hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents within our operations. There's no question about it,
So
So
I have to ask you a question. When did you turn 50?
January. Wait,
I,
did you see my gray hair? How'd you know?
well, here's Tracy Hutton, and turned 50 Sunday. So
Yes.
I want to say to all your agents, you're looking at a young man named Greg Harrelson that is now 50 years old, and now he's smart enough to do some wonderful things. If you think what he's done in the past is good, the future really is good.
Yeah.
Because you have to be 50 years old to do anything. So congratulations.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So let's, one of the questions let's jump into it. One of the first question is, should we expect a substantial decline in our business, for a prolonged period of time? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, Greg, there's no question. A lot of agents are going to suffer. There's no question.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the virus, and it's not because of the economy. It's because their head's not screwed on right. And one of the things that you and I think, do best is keep control of this. Okay? So, if this lasts 6-8 months, there's no question we'll see a decline in business. It's just going to happen. But see, the good news is, and you and I talk numbers a lot, worst case, we're going to do 4 million transactions this year in the US. That's 8 million commission checks, for goodness sakes. So my question for your agents and those that are viewing, how many of those would you like to have? But then I'm going to also say to you, if an agent is not mentally prepared, if they don't have the skills to support themselves in a challenging market, if they're operating from fear, if they're panicking, if they're hiding under the covers at 10 o'clock in the morning because they don't want to do their job, they're going to see a decline. But I think what you and I know best is any agent that is working 4 to 5 days a week, putting in the effort, perfecting their skills, taking care of their heads, at best, it will be a very minor thing. I think the future of real estate is going to become better and better because of what we're learning today, and primarily because of the virtual technology we're hopefully perfecting and getting better at. But I don't think your agents are going to suffer. I think some competitors may suffer. But here's the really good news. As the number of transactions dwindle even a little bit, the number of agents running away is 10 times faster. So per person productivity for good people should get better. I'm excited for the future of your agents.
Yeah, got it. So what you're saying is that though the number of transactions could go down, the number of, say the pie gets smaller, but the number of forks, dipping into the pie is also smaller. So the ratio of transactions available per person could be getting better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was on the phone yesterday with a broker in the West, and it's like you, it's a very good company. And the broker was very concerned and understandable. What I said to the broker is this: if you're concerned at this level and you're a good broker, can you imagine the concern of the crappy brokers in Toronto that don't know what they're doing?
Yeah.
And he smiled at me on the Zoom camera, and he goes, I never thought of it that way. I said, so it's just a little shift in the mindset that we have to keep adjusting. So I'm excited for your company and your agents.
Yeah. So shifting gears just a little bit. So obviously when we're talking to people, there's a lot of uncertainty. People are nervous. The public is nervous. Yes. And they're saying things like, should I, is it worth even going on the market now? Or, I'm going to wait until, this blows over, until this all ends. How much do we as salespeople press them to move forward? And what do we do with all these people? Because, that appear to be non-convertible. And maybe you're going to tell me no one's non-convertible, but what do we do with these people?
Well, so, and we've known each other since we were both much younger. I was your age when I met you, and you were probably 25, 26. So what I'm going to say next, Greg, you'll have a smile this big.
Yeah.
Mike Ferry says the agents have to have empathy, kindness, and understanding as the forefront of their mind when they're talking to people. That is the key. Empathy, okay, kindness, and understanding. And for Mike Ferry to say that, it's almost like I'm possessed. Yeah. Okay. I can't believe that I just said it, but I've been saying that since March 1st. And the reason why is because, yours and my philosophy is, of course, when you have a person that says, I want to buy and sell, to aggressively go after that appointment and do that job. So today we have bucket A, which is all those people that still have to do something today. But then I'm asking all the agents to create bucket B. And bucket B is those people that are 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months out. And their only fear is what you identified. Should I do something today or wait? Those people are going to come back into the market when this ends. And they're going to come back in a big way, buyers and sellers. They're going to come back to the agent that they have the best communication and relationship with. So I believe that all of your agents today in bucket B, they're going to be following up, but they're going to start the conversations with, obviously, Greg, the most important question is, are you and your family healthy? Is everybody fine? Mm-hmm. And you're going to say, well, at this time, everybody is. Well, that's good news. I don't know if what you're wanting to accomplish has changed. Are we too premature in a conversation about the sale of your home, or should we wait? Well, you know what? We're getting closer. And then we start into our pre-qualifying. But see, the catch today is, if those people that should be buying and selling today are going to wait 2-3 months, they're going to come back to the agent they've had the most communication with. Mm-hmm. And we can furnish market reports, neighborhood updates. We can furnish market stats. If ever in our lives we should be a resource center to the public, today's the time to start becoming a real estate resource center. So I'm saying to you, Mike Ferry's had to make a big change. Instead of only right now people, now we have right now, and then we have those in the near future. And the servicing is equal to both, but the empathy, kindness, understanding, and lots of communication, because we have to reassure the public, because they are afraid. You know what's interesting, Greg? Tom Myers, who you know, one of our coaches, and I had a conversation last week. You know, where you guys live, unfortunately, once in a while you have hurricanes, but you know about it 3 or 4 days in advance. We had tornadoes down in Bernie Gallerini's area a few weeks ago, but we knew they were coming, okay? A terrible snowstorm in the Northeast. It's predicted, but this virus, nobody knows where it is. So therefore, it's a little scarier for the public, so we have to be more reassuring than we've ever been in the past. And for a Mike Ferry trained great agent, okay, being reassuring is not part of our language pattern. That's why the empathy understanding is so important. And I hope that your agents don't think that we're trying to downplay anything. Those words are important in this market.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, what I'm gathering from you is, like, in absence of those words, we probably can't really engage with them. Like, they're just going to repel us. That's our opening into being able to just have the conversation. And then if it turns into real estate, it's fine, as long as we go, we lead in the right way in the beginning.
Right. Well, the truth is, the agents are as nervous about what's happening as the buyers and sellers. So if the agents think themselves and how do they want to be approached, okay, then we take that same approach. And if we take that same approach, the long term will be very positive for the agents, and that's the name of the game.
Yeah, great. So, I think a lot of people, some agents right now are asking us, should we even prospect? Should we talk to people, beyond people that we've already been talking to? So if I am going to prospect, like, who should we be calling now?
Well, you and I have always agreed, past clients are number one, always number one. And our job there is really just to keep them informed, okay? I just want to reassure you that the world is okay. Centers of influence number 2, which are vitally important because we have to be the calming force for these little referral centers called our center of influence. Because, see, what people don't understand is here, watch this. I got a report this morning from Tom Myers in Indianapolis. He showed me the last 3 weeks, total listings taken, total listings sold, buyer controlled sales in all 3 weeks. The numbers were the same. They haven't dropped one, okay? Because there are transactions, and there's a lot of them available today. But the third source is the one that I think we can make money. This little cell phone, for the first time, is my best friend, because the public's at home, like you and I, like your agents, and they're confined, And if they're a single man or woman, that's really tough because they don't have anybody. But if they're, for example, a real estate lady with 3 kids and a husband, now they got about 9 jobs that they have to do. And if they're a man and they're watching their 3 kids because of the weekend, and this is part of that, so it's a tough job. Therefore, anytime their phone rings, they answer.
Yeah.
See, here's what's nice about this terrible tragedy we're involved in. People need somebody to talk to. So I had, I can't remember, I don't know if it was Hal Swayze or Neil Weichel said to me a couple of weeks ago, normally if I dial 50 times, I get 15 contacts. Now I dial 50, I get 48 contacts.
Yeah.
So with that being said, the third category is the just listed, just sold. This is really critical today because, see, this is showing those people that there's activity in the area. This is showing those people that you and your company are active. This is a chance for an agent to brag a little bit if they're taking the listings. But Greg, think about this. It's Saturday morning and you and your wife go out of the driveway and you see a for sale sign down the street. And the normal conversation, I wonder what it's listed for. I wonder where they're going. I wonder if their home is as nice as ours. Okay, how do we find out? Those conversations aren't taking place because they're not supposed to drive any place. So now I'm the bearer of good news for the neighbors to update them as to what's going on. I think the just listed, just sold. Now, obviously, we're always going to have the buy owner. We're going to have the expireds. We're going to handle the ad calls, the sign calls, etc. But the truth is, the just listed, just sold, if we had your agents doing that a lot, we're going to get more signs to populate the neighborhood. And the more signs we get, the more signs we get.
Yeah.
So as clients, centers of influence, just listed, just sold are, I think, the 3 best for us at the moment. And that will grow as this continues, of course.
Yeah, that's great. I wasn't thinking about the just listed, but I could see your point in that, where the people are going out less and less, right? They're staying in their homes, and it probably takes passing a sign a few times before it resonates and it sinks into their mind, and they're just not passing it enough. So that'd be a great dialogue just to share them. Hey, good news. Another property is just listed. Yeah, I get it. It's a great approach.
And most people are afraid of their phone, meaning the agents, and they're afraid to everybody. So the aggressive agents are going to capture a bigger part of the market.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about virtual, and even you're talking about, going virtual. We got to do more things virtual. People are talking about virtual so much now. I don't think I think I'm confused as what virtual actually means, because I guess we're doing this virtual,
Yes.
But what does it mean to you, and how do we prepare for this?
So it's interesting. I've been working with Bernie Gallerini for a couple of years, as you know, and Bernie is, like you, a great agent and a great leader. And we started talking about this 2 months ago. And I said to Bernie, I want you to think about a mutual friend of yours and mine, Jeff Quinton, up in the Jersey Shore. He's been doing virtual listings and sales ever since we met him. Only a little percentage of the people physically show up, or does he physically meet? So the second home market, the ski resorts, the deserts, both coasts of Florida, the Carolina coast where you folks are, it's a second home market. These are virtual transactions, but we thought of a telephone call and a fax as being virtual. Well, today, of course, it's FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, DocuSign. So the truth is, they have to learn to prepare both a buyer and seller for the change in how we're going to do business. So I'll give you an example. So some states, real estate is essential. Some states, it is non-essential. Some states, we can still physically show a property to a buyer. Some states, we have to do it versus Zoom, okay, etc. So depending upon what the rules are in your state, which you have to follow, by the way, we're going to decide how much virtual presentation. We have to have a video presentation of a house, no matter what we do on a listing today. So we have to prepare the seller for that. They may have to do that virtual listing presentation, they may have to do that video themselves if we're in the times. But then we have to say to ourselves, how do we handle a virtual showing? What do we do? How do we prepare the buyer for a virtual showing? We pre-qualify by phone, virtual. Lender pre-qualifies by home, virtual. We set up the 3 properties we're going to show virtually, like we're doing right now, you and I. We show the properties. We have emailed and or sent to them somehow through our social media connections, the contracts. If they agree, we have them sign it, docu-sign it, send it back. A listing presentation really has been virtual for years, except for the face-to-face conversation in the house. Pre-qualifying has always been done virtually. Mail or deliver a pre-listing package. Now we email it. But here's where you and I can help the most. Greg, I'm sitting here looking at a young, handsome, 50-year-old man named Greg Harrelson, okay? You look great on camera. So I discovered something 4 weeks ago. I said to Sabrina, when I'm doing a superstar retreat, I have a professional makeup artist behind the screen, and they work on me 4 times a day. 4 times a day, I'm back in that booth before I come out on the stage, and the camera is 500 feet away. I started doing these little Zoom presentations. I went, holy crap, who's that old guy? And I found out it was me, okay? So we have to say to our agents, you got to practice your listing presentation using this technology. So if you and I are going to role play twice a week, I want us to role play like this. So we're seeing those little glitches, those little mistakes. We're seeing how we look on camera. I had a scary situation with a broker that you know well, so I won't mention his name to your agents, but the broker, halfway through my little conversation, put up the pictures of 20 agents on the screen. And I'm looking at these 20 agents. There's 2 guys, and you're going to laugh, sitting there in T-shirts, baseball hats on backwards. And this is at noon, and they're working. There's a gal in the corner, honest to goodness, picking her teeth, eating her lunch, and no makeup on. It was frightening, and I knew who she was. I didn't even recognize her. So virtually, you prepare as if it was live, okay? I saw a cute joke. Man says to his wife, there's a strange lady walking down the sidewalk. Who is that? She said, don't worry about it. It's just our neighbor without her makeup on, okay? So these kind of things are what we have to learn to do on a virtual presentation basis. I'm going to suggest to your great agents, every day practice for 30 minutes virtually with somebody else in the office. So they can see the smile, they can see the nodding of the head that you do so well automatically. They can see how they look. Because remember, no matter how we say this, people judge us by our appearance. They judge us by our energy, enthusiasm, the smile on our face. All those things are judgmental factors that are really big when you're on camera. Okay, if we're sitting in a living room and I'm talking to you and your wife, or we're sitting at the kitchen table talking and there's distance, but all of a sudden on this camera, oh my God, does my head look big when I lean forward? Okay, we have to recognize those kind of things. But I'll tell you the best news, Greg, this is the best thing that will ever happen to our industry, having virtual presentations, because of the time saving and the efficiency. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to allow your good agents virtually to add 20, 30, 40% to productivity. But you better start practicing or you're going to scare the heck out of the people you're talking to. Okay?
Yeah, it's a good point. And don't skip the traditional process of like making sure you dress properly and all those things. And I think about it, it's like, yeah, boy, we could miss that one very easily and and be too casual, and that's going to backfire. Yeah.
I still tell the story about, it was probably September, one of our agents, like you and I, showed up professionally, prepared for a listing presentation, knocked on the door. Seller opened the door. Now, they had not physically met. He had done everything by phone. The seller looked at the agent and said, come on in so we can sign the contract. And the agent, that takes you a little off guard when you haven't even started yet. He said, okay, and they just signed it. So he said, I have to ask, what you said to me at the door was unusual. Why did you take this approach? And the seller said, well, about an hour before we had a second interview with another agent. And the man showed up and he had on a golf shirt, very nicely done. He had on shorts. He had on flip-flops and a baseball cap. We thought he was a gardener looking for work. So we refused him. Then we found out he was the agent. We saw you and we knew we had the right guy. So, you know, that we have to do that now on camera. It's going to be a big change, but it's going to be real positive for your. I'm excited for your agents. Yeah,
that's good. I'm glad we touched on that, because that's got me fired up. You know, even in more. And I never thought about shifting the role play virtually. I know people have started doing that even pre. You know, the current events, they just started doing it. There's a lot of Mike Ferry mastermind groups that they do everything virtual. Yeah. And I've heard about it. I just never thought about it but that we need to be paying attention to how we present ourselves. And while we're role playing, let's make sure that we're actually being sensitive to those things and perfecting our on-camera presence, you know, for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Good.
So Mike, I mean, even in my office, there's agents that are worried, you know, and there's surely agents all over the country that feel like the world's coming to an end. Maybe they're just not going to make it in real estate and whatnot. I've been through a few shifts. You've been through multiple shifts. Have you ever seen anything similar to this? Are we going to come out of this thing okay? Or, you know, what have you learned from your experiences that you can pass on to us about similar shifts?
You know, my son Matthew, who I know you know and respect, and I think the world of, not only as my son, but as a good thinker. Mm-hmm. Matthew keeps repeating the same little mantra: this too shall pass. This too shall, and it will. But you know, I had somebody ask me this question a couple weeks ago, and I said, I think it was 1971, could have been 72. December, I was an agent in Huntington Beach. I had 3 escrows closing in the month of December, 2 FHA and 1 conventional. All 3, the buyers were at 18.5% interest rate on their loans. 18.5%. Now, Greg Harrelson, can you imagine standing up tomorrow morning in a meeting and saying, well, we've had a little shift in the market. The conventionals went from 3.2 to 18.5%. You would see a whole bunch of agents working at Walmart the next day. Okay, it's just the way it is. So we made it through that 18-month period of interest rates that were unbelievable. 1987, as some of you recall, we had a major stock market. It was devastating to the economy. Okay, only time worse was 1929. We made it through. Of course, 9/11, one of the most terrifying moments in all of North America, and specifically the people in New York lives, okay? As you know, my son Tom and Michelle were 1 block away from the Twin Towers when they fell, doing a seminar for Marcia Rand, okay, like yourself. And I'll never forget when they called me, and Michelle at 6:45 in the morning, which was 9:45 when the first plane hit. Dad, an airplane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I was thinking it was a little Piper Cub or a Cessna 162. Then I saw it was a big commercial jet. Well, the fear we had, you remember this because 1 month later, we had a superstar retreat in Miami Beach at Lowe's Hotel. 2,600 people registered, 500 showed up because they were terrified. We made it through that. 2007 to 2012, the greatest recession in the history of our nation and the world. Trillions of dollars lost. We made it through that. Okay. See, the truth is, we're going to make it through this, and we just don't know if it's going to be in 2 weeks or a month, but we're going to make it through this, and the world will be a better place because we'll learn from this experience. So I've been through, like you, a lot. I would like to say to you that, you know, it's going to happen or end tomorrow. It's going to end. We just don't know if it's tomorrow. Okay. We're all praying for the best. But watch. And then here's the worst part. 6 or 7 years, something else will happen. So we might as well earn a lot of money, save a lot of money, and prepare for the next one now.
Yeah. You know, and you've always had such a strong mindset. You know, that's one of the things that I think that that I have, you know, observed with you for the years and tried to emulate as best as I could. Thank you. But, you know, you're dealing with real estate agents, right? You make a living, you know, by serving real estate agents. And so you're impacted with this, you know, because your clients are impacted. How are you keeping your mind? How do you work through those times where maybe you're feeling negative or, you know, you feel like, gosh, I don't know, this is just too much. what are you doing in order to keep a positive mindset so you stay fighting, you fight the fight every day?
Well, first of all, I believe in what I call the 5-minute time limit. 5 minutes. I'm allowed to be negative for 5 minutes. I'm allowed to have any of those sense of fears for 5 minutes. And quite honestly, it doesn't go more than, usually it goes about 2. And then I say I'm done with that. But second, as you know, I'm very lucky with Earl Nightingale, Gunther Klaus, Mike Vance, Larry Wilson. I had so many people that were so powerful in my life for virtually 30 years that they've just virtually beat into my head. There's only one way to think, and that's positive. So I wrote something down. You're gonna get out of this. It's a full-time job not listening to the negativity, as it's a full-time job keeping your mindset positive and strong. It's a full-time job, okay? And so, I don't know what the preferences of your agents, but for example, for myself, for the first time 7 days ago after dinner, Sabrina and I turned on the local news. I had not watched the news since I was 20 years old. I had gone 50 plus years, never seen the news. I don't know what news people do.
Yeah.
We turned on, Greg, in 2 minutes. Sabrina and I looked at each other. We both grabbed the clicker to turn it off.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news. I don't get involved in social media because it's personal opinions of people that don't have any facts behind them. I'm fanatical about taking 2 or 3 mindset breaks a day. I still do it today. Okay. I get up in the morning, I do my affirmations. If I'm meeting somebody that's negative, I smile, I nod my head, and I don't listen. Okay. I don't hear a word they're saying, but they don't know that because I'm always smiling and nodding my head. You got to do stronger role plays, stronger accountability, more participation in your mastermind groups. What a time for everybody to get a little bit of personal strength when everybody else is so negative.
Yeah.
But Sabrina's always said the same thing. She goes, you wear that big protective helmet when you get up in the morning, and it's invisible, but it doesn't allow negativity in. And every morning I put that on, okay? Because your job and my job is to be the leading force of positivity inside our companies. And for those that don't know Greg well, man, you do it as well as anybody in the industry. You, Neil Schwartz, Juan Martinez, so many of you great brokers, Terry Swanson, Bobby Mahan, when he's asleep, he's excited, okay? So that's what we have to do, and anybody can learn to do it one day at a time. Not going to happen tomorrow, but I'm excited for those that want to take that path. It's a great path to be on.
Mike, I think I'll reference, a time when you all were talking about affirmations, and I remember Ty Leon Guerrera coming to one of your retreats, but it was when you had those breakout sessions, which you still do, but this is like early breakout sessions. I mean, and Ty Leon Guerrera, you had him up there on one of the stages, and he with such intensity was doing his affirmations, and then I was hooked, right? And then I got away from it for many years. 3 weeks ago, I rewrote affirmations and have been chanting my affirmations every day. I knew, I was like, I have got to be mentally tough during this time, not only for myself, my family, my agents, just I've got to manufacture that energy in order to combat all the negativity that's out there. So, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I just thought of it 3 weeks ago. I actually started it over again.
Well, you've heard me say this for a long time. Before every seminar I do, I'll stand on the side. This is the best audience I've ever had. This is the best audience I've ever had. I'll say that 3 or 4 times because they deserve that respect. And I want them to be the best audience I've ever had because that'll make the program better. So you and I are 100% on the same page on that. That's
good.
Sure.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and so the last thing that I had here is, do agents need to lower their expectations, or should they expect that they're going to do less business? Is this just a temporary and they're going to catch back up? And maybe you can share your thoughts on that, and then any final things that you want to add, and we'll just wrap it up.
Well, first of all, you and I believe that we become what we think about, because Earl Nightingale became famous for that recording. Yeah. So if your agents are sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I better lower my expectations, they better lower their expectations. Mm-hmm. We write an annual business plan. We do a quarterly review every 90 days. We just finished the first quarter, end of March. We do a review. But what I'm asking agents to do now, Greg, is to set 3 30-day plans for April, May, and June. And at the end of each month, do a review, work ethic, discipline, contacts, presentations, the good stuff, and really be honest. Then at the end of June, if they're really suffering from any reason or their production has dwindled, then they reset their business plan for the next 6 months at a lower pace. But the truth is, to lower your pace now makes no sense, because this could end in 5 days, okay? Or it could end in 25 days. My son Tom, who is, in my opinion, probably one of the best inspirational people for real estate. He has a new thing that, if you go onto his website, I went on and I was shocked. He asks people to throw away your business plan, put it in the trash. It doesn't exist. You don't need it. And I'm going, Tom, you can't spread that kind of a message. These people rely on the fact that they have specific plans they want to accomplish. So watch, for you and I'm not going to lower my expectations. We're still thinking of all the things that are going to happen great. Somebody said to me this morning, I did a 6 o'clock meeting in Toronto this morning, Pacific time, for 3 hours, verbally through our system we're on today. And somebody said, are you going to do the super retreat at the end of July? I said, I am. Are you going to be there? Because we've already bought the car that we're going to give away. It's in storage. If you like a brand new black with beige interior, 2020 SL 550 Mercedes convertible, you're going to love being at that retreat with a chance to win that car. See, my attitude is go 100%. I want to try to infect your agents with that kind of an attitude. Okay. So only lower your expectations if you have no confidence in yourself. And if you have no confidence, talk to Greg. He'll help you get back. So Greg, first of all, thank you for being a great long-term customer. Yeah. Thank you for the openness and honesty you've always shared with me on your thoughts on what we've talked about in the past. Mm-hmm. One of the highlights has been that time when you just came back from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with Rick. Yeah. And we're sitting in the room late the afternoon before the seminar, and I'm watching people racing through that channel, their jet skis. I can remember that like it just happened yesterday. And then I remember the next morning, you were sitting there saying, 24 hours ago, I was 27 time zones away from here. And that was really a defining moment for your strength. So thank you for that. And yeah. I want to say to all your agents, I wish you nothing but good success. I wish you nothing but a lot of listings and sales. Keep this going in the right direction.
Well,
Rick, thank you for.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. And we'll be tuning into everything that you're putting out there virtually. And then as soon as we know when your next event's going to be, and hopefully that is July, then we're gonna, we'll get a good crowd to come out and see you and learn from you. So I could not say thank you enough, and you've done so much for me, and you just continue to do it, and I appreciate it, and I know all my agents do too. So again, thank you.
Look forward to seeing all of you. Stay healthy.
All right, sounds good. Take care. Bye bye.